All right. So today you're going to do some work with a political cartoon. And a political cartoon is a cartoon that makes some sort of statement or expresses some sort of opinion about current affairs or politics or famous people. Political cartoons are never what they appear to be. Political cartoons have layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of messaging in them. And political cartoons are a very effective way to quickly get across your point of view without writing a lot of information. So, political cartoons can be tricky to decipher what the message is. So I'm going to go over some of the different elements of political cartoons with you to help you um, make sense of what it's saying and what it means. Okay, so in this instance, this is a very famous political cartoon. This is probably my all-time favorite political cartoon. So again, the first thing you would do is do sourcing on on the document, just like we would do with a normal historical document. So in this case, you probably can't see it down here in the corner. It's very hard to read, but this is by a very famous political cartoonist, probably the most famous in American history, a guy by the name of Thomas Nast. And actually, you can see his signature kind of written here, T. Nast. Thomas Nast was a very, very famous political cartoonist back mid to late 1800s. In fact, Thomas Nast has given us our modern representation of what Santa Claus looks like. It was Thomas Nast that created Santa Claus in his red fur-lined suit and his black boots and his big puffy beard and his image that we have today of what Santa Claus is. Before that, Santa Claus was shown as some sort of elf, a very short man, as very, very skinny, kind of ragged um, looking figure. Thomas Nast refined it and gave us our modern day Santa Claus. So Thomas Nast made a number of political cartoons about various things happening in America. This one happens to be called the American River Ganges. Now, the River Ganges is a famous river in India. The Hindus believe that the Ganges River has special healing power. So it's a religious river. It holds religious importance over in India. So Thomas Nast is making a comment here about an American river of he's making a religious statement, I guess. Let's say that he's making a religious statement about the United States, that this is an American religious river. So we look at the image, and just briefly looking at the image, you can see there appears to be a lot of children very scared up on this beach. There are people, it looks like maybe being dropped down over the edge here, or maybe being pulled up. You can see a man standing in front looking like he's protecting people. In the background here, you can see it says U.S. Public Schools on it, and it looks like it's falling apart. Now, very often, in order to quickly get across their message of what it is that they're trying to represent, they will just write exactly what it is on the figure or the building. So in this case, Thomas Nast wants us to know this represents U.S. public schools, that this is a public school. He wants us to know that, so he writes it on there. In the background, we see what looks like the U.S. Capitol building. We see this figure here. Looks like people beating her. She's arrested. Her hands are behind her back. And it looks like she's being led to a gallows over here where they're going to hang her. So you look at this and you go, wow, What is going on? Oh, and it looks like alligators. Alligators are coming up out of the water to eat the children. You're like, what is happening here? All right, so there's on the face, that's what it looks like. There's a Capitol building, there's a public school, some woman is being arrested and being taken off to be hung. There's children who are scared of being eaten by the alligators coming out of the water, and there seems to be one guy who seems to be protecting everybody. This is much deeper than that. Much, much deeper. This is a comment on immigration into the United States in the 1870s. And it's an anti immigrant cartoon. So here's what's happening. There was this fear of Irish immigrants coming into the country in the 1870s, if you remember back to last semester. And we didn't like the Irish. Irish, for the most part, were pretty poor. They were pretty uneducated. They were mostly Catholic. They were dirty. They were just not a well-liked people. And Thomas Nast was very worried about all these Irish Catholic immigrants coming into the country and worried that they were going to destroy the country. So what's happening here? We see this U.S. public school. U.S. public school, Thomas Nast argument is, all the Irish immigrants are going to destroy our public schools. You can see the public schools in shambles here. Irish Catholic immigrants are going to destroy public education because Irish Catholics were not sending their kids to public school. They were sending them to a church-run Catholic school, private school. And so because they were losing a lot of these kids, they were going to ruin public schools, and public schools is in a shambles. You can see there's an American flag flying there, but the American flag is upside down. Upside down American flag represents distress. It's a cry for help. So it's a cry for help for public schools. Okay. Up here, this is a figure of the Lady Columbia. And Columbia was the female representation of the United States before Uncle Sam. Now we have Uncle Sam, right? You see Uncle Sam, he's in the red and white striped suit, and he's got the white beard, and he's got the top hat, the American flag top hat that he wears. That, and when you see Uncle Sam, that represents America. It's just a generic representation of the United States. Before Uncle Sam, we had Lady Columbia. And this is Lady Columbia up there. And she was a representation of the United States. And she's been arrested and being drug off to the gallows to be hung. So the message here is all these Irish Catholic immigrants coming in are going to destroy not only our public schools, but they're going to destroy America. And they're going to hang America. They're going to kill America because we have so many Irish Catholics coming in. Back here, we have the Capitol building. It looks like the United States Capitol building. But in fact, if you look at it, there's some differences. The flag here is a harp. The harp is a representation of Ireland. The Capitol is not actually the Capitol. It's the Vatican. You can see the cross up there. And if this was a clearer picture, you could see it would say Vatican Catholic Church. Okay. So the message is all these Catholics are going to come in, they're going to destroy America, they're going to destroy our college or our schools, and they're going to destroy our government. And the Vatican, which is the headquarters for the Catholic Church, the Vatican will be running the country. And then you have these alligators coming up to eat the children. Okay. The fear was all these Catholics were going to come over and they were going to convert America from a Protestant nation, meaning Christians who are not Catholic. They're Christian religions who protested against the Catholic Church, Protestants. So you have Lutherans and Baptists and Methodists and all these other Christian religions included in there. That the Catholics were going to come over and change us from a Protestant nation to a Catholic nation. And they're going to start with the children. They're going to come up and eat the children and make the children Catholic. Okay. And here you see a Protestant preacher. He's going to protect America and our children from the Catholic invaders. And you can see here in his coat, he's got the Holy Bible, right? The Bible is on his side. These alligators coming up out of the water are not alligators. If you look very closely, they're people. There's a face, hand. These are Catholic bishops coming out of the water, invading the United States with the Irish Catholics. These are Catholic bishops coming up out of the water. Here's their robe, and you can see the outline of a cross on their robe, and their hats that are called mitre hats. They're big, tall, pointy hats that Catholic bishops wear. So the Catholic bishops are coming out of the holy waters of the Ganges River to come up and eat our children and destroy America and destroy our schools and destroy our government. And the only thing that's going to protect us from these Catholic alligators are Protestant ministers like this man who's willing to put his life on the line to protect all of this from the Catholic invaders, the Irish Catholic invaders. So there you go. So that's a political cartoon. Political cartoons use a lot of symbolism. Uncle Sam, um, Lady Columbia, upside down flags. They write on their political cartoons will write on objects and people to let you know immediately what it is that they're representing. Um, and it's a political message. It's a bias. Political cartoons always have some sort of bias, right? Either a bias for or a bias against certain events. And it's just a visual representation explaining that bias. And usually there's several different layers where they go into explaining why they have the opinion that they have. Instead of writing it out in some sort of essay, it's just all into a political cartoon. Today, you will be looking at a political cartoon about the beginning of the Cold War. And you need to look at all of these elements, the symbolism that's used in the cartoon, the things that are written on objects in the political cartoon, and then just the overall image of the political cartoon. What is that artist's opinion about the beginning of the beginning of the Cold War? So that's just a really quick overview of political cartoons, how they work, what they do. We'll work with political cartoons a lot throughout the semester, but just remember, a political cartoon is just a visual representation of somebody's opinion or somebody's bias, and there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of layers to the political cartoon. All right, good luck on your work with the political cartoon today. Take care.